Hi, it's Kevin Lobates here, and today I thought I would start a video series on the blockchain developer market. The tide has shifted in the blockchain world, whereas say 4 or 5 years ago there was a feeling that blockchain may well go somewhere, it may not. Now everybody pretty much is of an opinion that this is a significant technology that is going to last, that it has legs. So we're climbing out of the trough of disillusionment and we've overcome the crypto winter, and as a result employers are finding it very hard to find suitably qualified and experienced staff. And yet they're not internalizing the fact that the market has shifted. It's no longer about the employers choosing who they hire, it's about the employees choosing who they're going to work for. And so the old system where hundreds of people were chasing a few jobs and therefore the employers could make the potential candidates jump through all sorts of hoops and conduct all sorts of interviews and make them do all sorts of tasks, that just doesn't fly anymore. And one of the things you have to think of is if you're looking for a blockchain developer, and I'll talk a bit more about that term blockchain developer in later videos because it's a bit too encompassing. It can lead you down the garden path when you're looking for particular candidates. But anyway, when an employer is looking to hire somebody with experience in the blockchain space, you've got a different kind of candidate in front of you from the ones you're probably used to. You see, somebody who has been working in the blockchain space or researching in the blockchain space for years and years is probably the owner of some cryptocurrency. They will probably have some Ethereum and some Bitcoin and some other altcoins. And given that the markets are picking up, they probably have more assets than your average candidate. They're not in a bind where they have to get a job as soon as possible or they can't pay the mortgage or possibly even the food bills. Instead, they have the luxury of sitting back and waiting for something to come along that actually appeals to them. And that means that you are actually trying to sell your company to the employee rather than the potential employee trying to sell themselves to you. And yet I see that recruiters and traditional companies haven't been able to make the shift in the mindset that is required for that. So if you are advertising for a blockchain developer and your requirement is that they attend a bunch of grueling interviews and do some work in their spare time to prove to you that they are competent, the really good ones are just going to shrug and go somewhere else. So at best, you'll get somebody who is inexperienced and yet has managed to somehow fool you into believing that they are competent. So that is the first fundamental problem that recruiters and companies face when trying to hire experienced, qualified, competent blockchain developers. That's it for this video. In the next video, I'll dig more into what the problem is with talking about blockchain developers. Bye for now.